Hey guys, so it's Jared with Parker.
What's up, guys?
So we got a topic today, dreams and nightmares. We all can relate to this topic. Parker, I know you can,
Yeah, I
right?
definitely can relate to this topic. I'm definitely a person that has a lot of dreams, um, and nightmares too. But I'm able to usually remember a lot of my dreams and my nightmares and stuff like that. Are you able to kind of do that too, Jared?
I haven't been able to dream for a very long time. I do take medicine, so I don't know if that plays a factor, like similar to melatonin, but like a prescription. Uh, but I do gotta, I do gotta ask. Sorry about that. 1 second. So I do gotta ask, do you have you ever experienced kind of like a nightmare?
Absolutely. I think the first one I had, the first nightmare I had, I was 5 years old, and it was after you showed me the Boogeyman movie, believe it or not.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah, that was a
And
long time ago when you were younger. Yeah.
yeah, and I watched, I think it was also that, and I think I also watched a horror movie like with Jason or something like that, and that was like another scary dream I had. I had that one I think when I was like 7 years old. So those are like those are my earliest nightmares, you could say.
So your nightmares came from something that you visually seen through like a movie, is what you're saying, correct?
Essentially, yeah, yeah. And I can definitely see why parents don't want their kids to watch certain garbage like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a taste, Some people like comedy, some people like horror. Everybody's mind's different too. But yeah, I get what you mean. I gotta ask, have you ever had a dream, like as in a good dream?
Oh, all the time. I've had them all the time. And usually when I have these dreams and stuff, I wake up and I feel like I don't really want to wake up to reality. But I'll say this: typically, my really good dreams they involve women.
Yeah. I, I've had a lot of good dreams too. I definitely have had more good dreams than nightmares. But I don't dream a lot, so it is weird. I haven't dreamed for a long time. But back in the day when I was younger, about probably, I got what, 10 years over you, so probably around 20, 21 or so, I was doing a lot of dreaming. I got to ask another thing. Has your dreams ever came to reality? So like you dreamed something and then kind of it was like deja vu. You ever dealt with that?
Well, speaking of that, I had actually had a little bit of a bad dream the other day, and basically the dream is I was sleeping in like my old room, right, another place I
Right.
used to live in, and I wake up to like a masked person like knocking on my window or something like that. And I keep in mind I lived on like the third floor, so it was crazy and stuff, and I woke up to that inside of a dream, and then I woke up again, and then it was like my mom had dropped something.
So
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 I basically had a dream inside of a dream. Have you ever had a dream inside of a dream?
yeah, kind of like where it goes to the second segment, as in a sense, is what you're saying, right?
Essentially, yeah, you kind of like wake up a little bit, and then it's like you think
Yeah.
it's like all of a sudden you have like another wake up call, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I've had a couple like that. I remember I kept having a bad dream that I was gonna get a ticket from a police officer, and it did happen. It just took 3 months for it to happen, and yeah, it's kind of like deja vu in a way. I mean, I feel like you know, our dreams sometimes do come to reality. It is kind of a scary thing to think of because that can be like a nightmare in itself, just like outside of that dream. You know what I mean? So, plus we dream also in life outside of nightmares and dreams while we're sleeping. Right now we're defining the sleeping part, but we also dream, right, to, maybe go to college, to be successful, to, you know, overcome things in life, maybe possibly addictions or past traumas. We dream to be better every single day. So that's another dream as in itself. outside of the nightmares and dreams.
Yeah, no, that's great. I definitely have had what was I gonna say? I definitely have had basically you ever felt like you were kind of like there's like you kind of partially asleep. I've had is I've been partially asleep or something like that, and I've been attacked by like ego. It's almost like I went to Judgment Day, and like I felt like this. I felt like all these like fears and stuff like while I was sleeping, and then I woke up and I was like, oh, thank God, I'm fine. And then I go back to bed. I used to have that for about a couple weeks straight. In fact, I still
Yeah.
sometimes do get that where it feels like I just get like attacked by like a demon or like my ego whenever I'm
Yeah.
sleeping. Hasn't happened though for quite some time and stuff, but when I was going through kind of like an awakening a few months ago, I definitely have had that kind of happen a little bit.
Well, I definitely feel like dreams and nightmares play kind of a sense in direction, maybe of where we're going. Possibly it could
Absolutely.
be dark or it could be positive, but looking
Yeah.
at life all the time positively, at some point, there's going to be a barrier that hits where, maybe your nightmares do come to life, and you do face reality. I mean, they say life isn't all lilies and, rainbows. And, we want that to be the case, but it's just not the case, just kind of like when I was saying, I kept dreaming about getting pulled over by a police officer. Well, guess what? It happened, and it wasn't no fix it ticket. It was a ticket. So I think, when good things happen for so long, obviously, way God works is, at some point he wants you to wake up, right?
Mhm.
And kind of, you ever heard of that saying, smell the hot coffee? It's kind of a
Yeah.
similarity to that. Like, sometimes we just got to be, you know, waking up and understanding
Yeah.
that, not everything's going to go the way you want it in life. So,
No, I've definitely have had dreams where it was almost kind of like I think it was like a connection to like just like a small amount of guidance. It wasn't necessarily like a guidance, but it was just more of like actually it was like a guidance, but it's almost like kind of like divination. People use like tarot cards to kind of like tell them the future or to ask kind of questions. I've kind of have had dreams that are kind of like that. Maybe I was hanging on the like the wrong crowd at one time, and then like my dreams kind of showed that to me a little bit, by bad things happening in that dream, and I take that as a sign that I was going down the wrong direction, right?
right.
Or what else could it be? Or just, certain people to maybe avoid or certain things to also give up as well, right?
Yeah. I got to ask, have you ever had the same dream? Has it ever happened like sequence after sequence after sequence?
You know, it has happened like a little bit, but it wasn't like it was mainly when I was like way younger, but it only happened maybe like two. It would sometimes like happen like where I would get like one dream and then all of a sudden I have like a very similar dream like 3 or 4 months later. Have you ever had something like that? Like
I
dreaming?
have, and I have had that, and I've also had where the dream just comes back, which is sometimes can be scary, but also can be something maybe you almost want to happen. I mean, it just kind of catches you off guard in a way. It's kind of a scary thing to have to witness again, whether it's positive or negative, because you're kind of like, why am I having the same dream? But yeah, everybody dreams differently. It's crazy how that is.
I'll say this, whenever I feel like I'm really like kind of like fearful and stuff like that, that's when I notice I get like the worst dreams. Like, you know what I mean? When I'm not like controlling my energy properly, then my energy reflects into my dreams, if that kind of makes sense, like the way I sleep and everything else. So that's why for me I think it's very, very important to like you almost have to have like a bedtime ritual. What you want to
Yeah,
do is you want to, set like a positive, just kind of tap in like a positive feeling that you want to experience and then go to bed. And then you'll wake up with that same feeling. And then it's like you'll just have this absolute joy for life. So
yeah,
I like to play, for example, I kind of like put on my phone, I like to put like, you ever hear like those healing frequencies or theta waves on your
right.
phone?
Yeah,
Like
there's
it's just
like
it's just
calm.
like yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like
there's
calm sounds. Just like, yeah, you just kind of like just play a song like that or just some
yeah,
sounds like that and just kind of think, think of like joy or whatever I kind of want to experience.
yeah,
And that whenever I fall asleep and stuff, usually that kind of like programs like my subconscious mind to
yeah.
um feel more positive energy. But I think my dreams are a reflection of my energy state.
Right. Well, I think a lot of things, yeah, it could be sound. Like for me, I use a kind of a white noise when I go to sleep. So like
Hmm. I
back
definitely
in the
prefer that.
day, I used to have like this fan, I would keep the fan rolling, and that would be my therapy, towards like what my ear wants to hear when I go to sleep. I do think it does play a effect on your mind. If you're in a calm setting, you're more likely to sleep better. But if you're kind of like in the heat of the moment, you're trying to sleep, tossing and turning, obviously, that could be a weird awakening. I feel like in itself. So
Yeah, no, I think I've one of my craziest dreams that I've had is I drank I just what I did is right before bed. If you ever want to like have a crazy dream, you gotta do this before bed. I had you have to have like a really high glycemic carb. So
right,
like maybe like chocolate chip cookies or something like that. But what I did is I had a glass of like raw milk and I mixed it with a bunch of maple syrup. And when I was like dreaming deep, I was seeing like all these Hindu like goddesses, bro, and gods. It was quite amazing. I didn't really like feel like an attachment to it, like an emotion, but it was
yeah,
pretty crazy. But I'll tell you my craziest of all dreams though
yeah,
is right when it was my third Kundalini class, okay?
right,
Like my third Kundalini class. Was wait I was I remember I was shaking back in my bed from like midnight to like 4 a.m. like while I was sleeping. I had the craziest, most vivid dreams during that time. I can't really remember them, but they were just so vivid at that time. And I was just
yeah.
shaking back and forth in my bed because I had created all this energy and stuff like that. And I was waking up at like 4 a.m. for like 3 weeks in a row.
Like exact time every day
Exact
type
time. It was
moment.
crazy because I was never a morning person, and all of a sudden I'm waking up at 4 a.m. and at first I thought I was like getting possessed or something like that, but then I realized
Uh,
over time it's like, whoa, this is so incredibly deeply healing, you know?
yeah, I
Quite
think.
mystical.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy that I think I've heard a lot of people that have had similar experiences like that because I mean I think do you think sometimes it could be your body, maybe because you kind of work off schedule, everybody works, and you think that could play a factor, like maybe
This
you
was
have to be
this
up.
was definitely this was definitely from the Kundalini. It was pretty mystical. It definitely felt like some godlike energy, whatever this was.
Okay.
I
So
promise
this
you.
was this was something you were doing positively, but
Well, this
kind
is
of
also
like
very common. This is also kind of scientific too. Like this will
yeah,
do this to you. You know, if you do Kundalini and stuff, your spine will be shaking like whenever you're sleeping. You know, because you,
right.
'cause you're creating energy like through this breath work.
Yeah, I know you've been telling me a lot of these things. I know you showed me one, and
Tell us about that.
I told you about how I kind of closed my eyes and took a nap while I was doing it, and I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to be awake and relaxed.
Yeah.
Kind of gave me euphoric experience, kind of like obviously this is off topic, but if you ever talk to somebody who has a maybe battles addiction, they might have had a
Yeah.
for where they're seeing things that aren't there, and that's kind of what it was like for
That's
me
what I had too.
because it was kind of like I was seeing like I want to say doubles, but I was like seeing multiple figures or whatever the situation might have been, but obviously it could have been because of what was that treat? What was that thing called? The thing that you had sent me. The one I
It was
did.
just like it was just a quick Kundalini awakening, like audio sound and stuff like that, and
Mm,
that's what it was. They all you have to do is just do it 2 or 3 times, and it'll just skyrocket you into like
yeah,
comes like your dreams and everything else.
yeah. Because like the second time when I did it, it was awake. I felt a little different. I think both experiences were different. One was me dreaming, obviously because I had my eyes closed, but I also wasn't asleep. I was kind of aware of my surroundings, so it was weird. And then the second one was obviously where I kind of like, kind of like how you said, meditate before and then go into it. So it was kind of different kind of experience, more of I could feel my body kind of lift off of just any kind of emotion or so, kind of detached from my body and for a moment. But then as soon as I woke up, then it was like kind of it was weird. I was kind of right back to the, kind of like awake, So uh lasted though for a pretty good while as I did it for 20 to 30 minutes as you had told me to. The second time, the first one was an hour of me closing my eyes, so probably why I went to a euphoric experience.
Yeah, yeah. What was like the craziest? Because I don't think you kind of you gave an insight yet, but your like nightmare that you ever had, like be a little like be descriptive. Like what was it? What was it like? What did you see? What was it about?
Um, I
If
do
you're
think
okay
our
with sharing
I do think our past sometimes kind of haunts us. So I do think like
absolutely.
when you really mess up in life, and even when you overcome it, obviously this is kind of a thing where even like when you're trying to do good, I don't think anybody's bad in life. So I feel like when you make a mistake and you understand it, then you learn from it. But yeah, I think a lot of my dreams, past life. I mean, I've been alive for 31 years. I'm close to 32 now. And I've had a lot of traumatic experiences in my life where I just kind of like go back in the past, and it does haunt me because it's like it's my wrongdoing.
Right.
So
And a lot of us are
uh,
afraid to have our past come back up. You know, we never want what we had in the past, right? We only want
no.
good things, and a lot of us are really afraid of that, right?
Well, and it is funny because when we're asleep, I don't think we want that. Like we do, we want it more like in reality. Like I don't know if you live in the past when you're awake, because I do every day. I'm like always constantly like I don't know if you ever have like an argument with someone and you're like bringing something up that had like that happened like 2 months ago. Like
Mhm.
how is it still affecting you? You're 2 months. You know what I mean? You're 2 months
Right.
ahead.
Well,
You're
and that could just be
literally
like
two months behind.
more of a like a revenge thing, right? Too.
I mean, it could be, or it could be just something that's haunting you. It's just something you can't get by. There's things in life, traumas that you just can't get by, and sometimes some people are just stronger than others. And I'm not going to say people are weak. I'm just saying, at some point you got to let go. Like kind of speaking on one of our older topics with death. I mean, sometimes you just got to accept it. Especially when you know it's coming. I feel like that can be the
Mhm.
beautifulest thing about life is like with dreams and nightmares, they kind of just come out of nowhere. You have no control over them other than if you were
No.
to change your lifestyle and your remedies, exercise, eat healthy. Obviously, these things can play a factor, but it doesn't mean that it's going to 100% work. You know what I mean? Like that's just
Mhm.
playing with the mind if I was to say it was going to work. So I don't know if you agree with me on that, but you
No,
know,
absolutely. Like, cause like I said too, like before you go to sleep and stuff, whatever you're kind of feeling, sometimes like
yeah,
in a moment before you go to bed can reflect in your dreams, whether it be something positive or
right.
whether it be something negative,
Yeah. I mean,
we get really weird dreams for no reason. It's like, what was that about? I was like, why the heck did I think of that? I never
yeah.
thought of it before, So it's like, why was that all of a sudden in my dream?
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever screamed or talked in your sleep too before, and then somebody tells you, like, oh, you were screaming somebody's name. Who's Joey? You're like, what? Well, you know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever
Right.
had that, like, where somebody, like, or you were snoring, I don't know if somebody ever told you, like, you were snoring real loud. Like, has that ever happened to you?
You know what? It has and stuff, but lately I've been trying to just breathe through my nose, and if I have to, I'll use like a nasal strip. So I always make sure I'm not like mouth breathing and stuff. And I usually make sure to always sleep on my back for some reason. So I sleep like a rock. I don't really move around at all.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think the way that you sleep, like your posture, obviously plays a factor. I mean, they say for me, I use a body pillow, so for me, that's like a therapeutic thing. But I don't lay on my back because technically I'm supposed to have asthma, but I don't have it. I was able to overcome some past things that I was doing to get out of that. So for me, yeah, mine's kind of turned to the side, and then I got the body pillow, and then it's kind of like a therapeutic thing. I think a lot of people should, if they sometimes when you feel alone, I think sometimes just holding onto a pillow can kind of change the dynamic of how your mind. It's almost like you're holding somebody. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you kind of understand like that, but it's
Right.
kind of like how you said you sleep on your back. To you that's it could be a therapeutic thing or a
Oh
healthier
yeah,
way to sleep.
just like crossing my arms right here is a therapeutic thing. It's kind of like almost like a little hug to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do this weird thing. I know my wife says that I still do it. What I'll do is I'll like close my eyes and then like go to sleep, and then obviously 6 hours into it, I got the blanket over my head. And you probably would think I'm dead, but it's therapeutic. I just sleep under the covers. Sometimes I got like 4 or 5 blankets just literally suffocating me, but obviously I'm still alive. You can breathe under a blanket, if you train your body to do it. Not everybody can, but
Oh,
yeah, I used to do that. And then there was also a time when I used to put a pillow over my face and just kind of like it would just be there. I would be no pressure on it, but I would just fall asleep, a little bit with my head over the pillow, which is kind of weird, but it was therapeutic. I mean, just obviously don't do that, but if it
yeah.
happens when you're sleeping, it happens. You move in your sleep. Sometimes, you know, we say we fall asleep on our left side or our right side, we wake up on our other side. Obviously, then that was restlessness, and we all deal with that as well. So it could
Mhm.
be from anything, nightmares, or it could be just lack of sleep. When you have lack of sleep, sometimes you just fall on the couch and you just pass out. There's no therapeutic way of going into it, I guess I would say, if you know what I mean on that.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think some of us too with you ever done lucid dreaming at all, where it's kind of like you try to like control your dream like while you're sleeping? Like you're in your dream and you can kind of like control it a little bit. I've had it happen before where it's like I can kind
Mm-hmm.
of like change like where I'm at or something like that. I mean, I wasn't able to like go too crazy into lucid dreaming, but I was able to change like some aspects of my dream before.
I'm, I've had similar experiences. There was kind of where I don't know, there was times where I woke up from like a really good dream and I tried to go back into it. And I think about 2 or 3 times it actually worked. I don't know how it worked, but it did. I kind of just like built something in my mind, and then I think it took me right back into the dream, which was very weird because it was similar to kind of like the butterfly effect, where you're just kind of like going back in time or going forward in time when you don't even know you're doing it. And sometimes the mind plays a big factor in how your brain works. Whatever your brain's going through that day, it can really play a factor in how your mind makes these euphoric imagery and stuff like that. I mean, it's just that we have no control over our dreams. A lot of times, is we like to think we do, but
Mhm.
sometimes we just don't. And sometimes we want to. So I think that was a thing for me, is I wanted that so bad. I wanted to go back into that dream after waking up to go to the bathroom and then getting thrown off and knowing it couldn't happen again, and then for some reason I was able to get it back somehow. I don't know how, but
I've had dreams before where I've been sleeping and stuff, and I was uh I was contacted by basically advanced beings.
okay. Yeah.
They were giving me advice on what to do and how to handle certain situations. And I remember I was in like a crazy, crazy place. It was almost like another planet where I was.
Yeah.
It was kind of like what you would describe as it's kind of what you would think of as like the Garden of Eden
Okay.
in the Bible.
Yeah. Was it were you going through something, do you remember at the time? Like was there some kind of trauma, or was there something that was leading you
Oh,
to
it's more of just
these?
me wanting to know the answers, you know, and me being open-minded. And that's why
Okay.
I have those dreams because I set the intention of, you know what, I'm open-minded and I'm willing to listen, you know, whatever the universe may hold out there.
I got a big question. So this is a kind of crazy, this is like a really good question. Do you pray every time before you go to bed, or do you miss it?
You know, I don't really pray anymore because I kind of feel like since we all kind of have like the God power within, it's like I'm not going to go to something else. You know what I mean? I'm going to recognize it.
Okay.
I do my praying would be more of like gratitude, you know, like oh I'm so grateful for this or thank you, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I just kind of say like thank you, God, but I don't usually say something like, oh dear God, help me and do this and do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird how when we pray, we're just praying for our wants and sometimes not really for our needs. It's kind of
Some of us sometimes I used to only pray whenever something bad happened to me or unless I was desperate for something.
Oh, I've had times where I just pray, like, please let me get out of this situation, knowing I'm pretty much screwed, But, just trying to get out of something that I did wrong, like maybe I beat somebody up or something in school, and I'm like, please tomorrow don't let me get like detention for 30 days. And then guess what? It happens. So this is
It's
reality,
so crazy when I was thinking about that now is that like looking back at younger and the stuff I'd get in trouble for, it was just so stupid. It's like I can't believe that I was so like worried about it back then. And nowadays I look at it, I'd be like, that's so stupid. I got in trouble for that.
Uh,
I could care less now, you know what I mean?
yeah, I remember one time I was picking you up from school, and this teacher comes out and tells me I'm not allowed to skateboard or something, and I'm thinking
Yeah.
like, did you read the sign? She said to me. And I said, oh yeah, I read the sign, and I must have read it. I must have not read very carefully, or I must have just, not
Word.
cared. I pretty much told her, so I kind of got a little upset, and she was like, "I'm gonna call the cops," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm waiting for my cousin to get out of school," and kind of just one of those situations where we kept going back and forth, but it was like there was no getting like through to her. So they ended up kicking me off. I don't know if you remember, I had to like pick you up across the street. It was ridiculous. It was like
You were able to pick me up when you took your skateboard. I remember that. I was in seventh
I
grade. And
I can't
I
remember.
remember
Well, I
the
think
PE
it
teacher,
was
the PE teacher would roll around in like the computer chair all over the place.
uh yeah, I never really understood a lot of things in school. I don't know if we really learned as much as we would have liked. I think they should have taught more about like real life, kind of like what we speak on. It'd be nice to hear them speak about something that maybe we're going to deal with in life instead of something that, like I never understood math. It's never made any sense to me whatsoever. I mean, you're sitting there trying to break down an equation that's never ending, and then you finally get to the ending and it's like, how did it end? You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever,
Yeah.
like, when you get kind of closer to like 12th grade, you're doing these math problems and it's literally taking a whole sheet, and you're kind of just like, I don't know. I feel like in school we learned a lot of things differently. I don't know if my mind was fully there when I was going to sleep and dreaming. I remember I used to stay awake really late, and then I'd have to get up at like 6 a.m. to go to school. I don't know if you had the same issue where you just wanted to stay up all night, but you knew you had priorities like the next day, and it kind of just threw you off.
Oh, and sometimes like I didn't care, you know what I mean? Sometimes it would have been worth it
Yeah,
to watch that movie, you know, or play a few extra hours of a game or whatever I wanted to do. But
yeah, and
but now
it affect
now as I get older, I realize sleep's just the most essential thing, you know.
Yeah, that people don't understand, you gotta, sleep, eat, and exercise. People miss so many meals a day, they don't understand what it does to the mind. And I think, when you work on your sleep cycle and your, how you eat and how you diet and,
Mhm.
exercise is really good because, like, try using a day where you just don't do anything. You just sit on the couch all day. I mean, obviously your body is feeling like non-tired. Like you could almost run a marathon. You almost feel like it, like it just doesn't make sense. People need to understand, how the mind works and how
Yeah.
to, better get your sleep cycle. So,
Well,
maybe these
a lot
drinks
of
and
us too. Look at what we do before bed. We're staring at at a piece of light, you know, which is our phone, you know.
oh yeah, I'm on my phone for like
Starts
an
to
hour
sleep. That's why
before.
I always got these glasses on right here. Shout out to Dave
Yeah.
Asprey. But yeah, they kind of like they block they always block like blue light and stuff like that. So I'm able to sleep. And I noticed the second I started wearing these, I'm able to sleep so much better.
But oh, the phone does so much damage to you. I mean, the internet, just everything that we look at. I mean, it plays a factor. I mean, even music, movies, everything just kind of messes with the mind.
Well, and too,
Maybe.
I think a lot of us too. I mean, look at we're usually like we don't usually do anything productive before bed. We just want to just be entertained. Now, whether that's playing a game,
Yeah.
watching a stupid show, something like that, you know, instead of like reading or doing something that's like kind of more stimulating for the brain, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the people that need to like understand this and what we're saying is like there's a thing called overload. Now, if you're overloaded, right, like you're working double hours and all this, you obviously probably deserve some phone time. But when you're just constantly in your phone, it takes your brain to a place where you really shouldn't be going. I mean, it's does so much damage to the mind. That's why you got to let positivity come through in your life, because it's really going to just play a factor. Like I said, your diet, your sleep, your exercise, these are factors that you need to understand to live a sustainable life, you know?
Yeah, no,
So,
exactly. No, I think yeah, as far as like my closing thing, I would just say that, just start making like small little changes and everything too, but especially when it comes to, prioritizing sleep um and also like your health and stuff like that. But just make small changes, maybe uh put the phone down a little bit earlier, head to bed a little bit earlier, turn the TV off earlier, um, grab a book and read before bed, whatever it may be. But that's just my kind of closing statement.
oh, I like that. Yeah, I kind of have the same kind of, idea for the conclusion. I really just feel like, kind of you can't really look at life differently, but you can definitely make changes for the better to, you know, live like more of a mindful mindset. And it's going to help everything. It's going to help your sleep. It's going to help just the way you think, prioritize, if you worked very hard, then reward yourself, learn to love yourself more and to treat yourself just a little bit better. And I feel like these dreams and nightmares, you might have maybe just a little bit more control over them in time, possibly. But obviously, that's a that's a thing, for probably another conversation. But for a closing, yeah, just work on your
Uh,
sleep cycle, work on your nutrition, work on exercise, work on the 3 steps to bettering yourself as a person.
on part two
Uh,
of this, we got to talk about astral projection.
okay, yeah, we'll get on that.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Well, this is our closing.
All right.
Jared,
All right, Parker.
we're out, y'all.
There.